What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't your finances, your family, your age, or your circumstances? What if it's simply, what if you become comfortable with it? Tonight, we're diving into two powerful conversations inspired by Patti LaBelle and TD Jakes that may challenge the way you think about your life. Why do people stay in toxic relationships? Why do some people never leave their neighborhood they complain about? Why do people stay at the jobs they hate? Why do some people settle for less than they deserve? Why? Why? And why are so many people afraid to start over? Could it be that they aren't addicted to pain? We're addicted to what's familiar. So tonight, join me, Denise Murray and Denise Day, as we unpack the differences between comfort and growth, fear and faith, familiarity and purpose. This conversation may have you questioning everything that you have accepted as normal. So stay tuned, because tonight we're talking about these habits, people, environments, and mindsets that can keep you stuck. So let's talk about it. Talk it out with me. Like I was telling you, we watched it. I showed you the video that I was talking about with Patti LaBelle, and I actually I wonder. No, I don't want it to mess up anything. But it was a video where she was speaking, where she basically was talking about, people asked her, what exactly is she like, with her still moving around, her still doing the things that she's doing and different things like that. And they were like, with her being in her 80s, and she's not stopping. And so a lot of times people stop what they're doing because of the fact that they get of a certain age. But I'm gonna say exactly, hold on, let me see if I can pull up the verbiage from her thing where she was talking about.
Okay.
I want them to hear, but I know the video I don't want it to mess up the live. But basically in the video, she said, this was her words, was, I've been whoever I am now that I wasn't. She was like, I know I am who I am. You're not making the same mistakes through, when it comes to your ages and things. She was like, I'm still who I am. I have little pieces of some of my 30s, my 40s, and in all of those in my 80s. She said, there's nothing that's going to hurt me. I'm blessed to be in a place of where I am at 80. I'm still walking, talking, thinking the same way I did in my 30s and 40s. She said, thinking about having a business, she was like, having a business, a successful business. People who think they turn, or when people get at 50, they start talking about how old they are. And and that's a conversation too that we need to have. But when soon as people hit 50, they feel like, oh, I'm old. And that's like, and and she said, you're as old as you make yourself. It's like,
yes.
it's like 73. She was on Dancing with the Stars, The Masked Singer, all the kinds of stuff. And a lot of people would see, she said, people would see her at the airport and they'll be like, Patty, you encourage me. And she said, I say, how? And she was like, they say, I see you on Dancing with the Stars. I see you this, and you doing all this in your 70s. But she said, I'm not afraid. She said that people will come to them and say that they're afraid to take chances. And she said, that's the problem. People are afraid to take chances after a certain age. And that's what we have to stop, because you have to continue no matter how old you are. So let's talk about that, because I wanted people to hear the dialect of what the conversation was, being as though I didn't get the video up. But like she said, people are afraid to take chances after a certain age. Why do you think people stop dreaming after a certain age?
Wow, that is powerful, sis. And let me just share this, because we saw my husband, he got vet ticks, and I'm gonna do another thing about that. But we were able to see the they had the women, they had them out there for the what was it, Mother's Day, and it was Patti LaBelle. Uh, all of them were together. Gladys Knight. All of them came together out here in Vegas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw them, we started Googling how old were they? Stephanie Mills, Gladys Light, get, look at me, Gladys Light.
Chocolate.
Gladys Light, all of them were together. And
Right.
when I saw them out there, it was so beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
I started Googling them, and they were all in their 80s, right?
Right.
And they're yet out here doing the thing. They were just so beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
to see them on the stage, right? And I appreciate the fact that they were out here doing their thing. All of this was going on. But when I'm sitting over here, I'm at 63, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I was so just impressed by them. They were Googling, they were doing their best life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we got to look at. Like, what is it that's bringing them to the forefront that they are yet like just doing their thing?
Right.
They were so beautiful. I'm looking at all of these women. I knew Gladys Knight back when she was doing Midnight Train to
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's, right? That was one of my uncle's favorite songs. He used to bring me, girl, give me a little money to go get him fish. And
Mm-hmm.
Bob getting up there for Midnight Train to Georgia, to just do all of them. And they are yet beautiful Black women doing their thing. And I thought that was so awesome.
And be
So,
fine
but
too.
huh?
And be
Okay. They
fine
are
too.
doing it. They doing the thing. I know it was something going on with what was my sister with her and her son. He was saying the husband doing this and that and the third. But I'm just saying, it's just so beautiful to see them out there living their best lives. And
Mm-hmm.
so we just got to be appreciative of that. And I just love them because, I'm an old school, right? And just to see them still, I started Googling them when we were in the building. And all of them was 80 something. Stephanie Mills, Patti LaBelle, what you just said,
And Chaka Khan.
Shuka,
Chaka Khan and Gladys.
Shaka Khan, and just doing that, all of them, they're in their 80s. And
Mm-hmm.
just to see them doing that, I was just so just glad and just impressed and just to see them. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a good vibe for me to see them all living their best lives.
So my question is like, why do you think people stop dreaming after a certain age? Because like you say, you saw them and they were all still doing what they enjoy to do and what they love to do. Why do you
Yeah,
think some people, when they get at a certain age, they feel like they need to stop doing what they're doing or just start this like they feel like, okay, I'm getting old and they start using the
yeah,
I'm old, or I'm too old for that. Like they
no.
don't feel like they need to be doing stuff anymore.
I think we should not, because you know me, I'm at 63 years young, right? I done had so much. I done had breast cancer twice. I had lung cancer. I done had brain situations, but we should not count it out
Mm-hmm.
because we are yet out here, and that we should still use our testimony to be just out here and just show other people all of this stuff is not unto death, okay? Because I'm ready to, honey, I got a situation set up right now to where I'm going to be out here with the American Cancer Society to show them, speak up, and show them that cancer's not unto death. It's not. And
Right.
that we ought to be able to use your best voice, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm living about. I love that I'm connected with you, that I can still, sit out here and be about what I'm about with my business acumen, and that I can love and live on people, but it's not unto death. We
Mm-hmm.
got just use your best voice to share. That's what I'm thinking about. And it's not in the end. We got so much to share, and just use your best voice right now, okay? That's what I'm thinking about, because we got a lot, you know what I mean? It is what it is.
Right.
And I thank God. I thank God that I don't look like what I've been through. I'm not going that route that I'm finna just, wrap it up. No, hell to the no. I'm 6'3" years young, and I'm gonna give the best that I got. If it right around the corner from me right now, it's a schoolyard. Okay, I done met with the girl that say it's to deal with a just with what it you have to share. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is. Share what you know and just do it. Just live your best life. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we got to do. And that's where I'm at right now.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Okay?
Now is fear stronger than desire for most people, you think?
I think some people when they get that notice that, okay, let's just use cancer as an example. When
Mm-hmm.
they get that cancer notice, they think, oh, it's on to death. I'm gonna die. I gotta do this. And they ball up in a knot. But that's not it. Just
Mm-hmm.
shift your mindset and say, I'm gonna live and not die.
Right.
Okay? That's what the Bible says. You shall live and not die until the end ended. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is. But I think some people just just use that as just that's the end, because that's a scary notice. You when you speak cancer, but don't let it be over your life. Just move forward. And what can I do to just be better? What can I do to just use that to move forward? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think what it is. And that's my situation. Because like I said, I've had cancer twice. I
Mm-hmm.
had a brain situation that they said I had some shit going on in my brain. But girl, I went and told my hair girl, I ain't gonna be you in a couple weeks, girl, because I gotta go situation. But you gotta just it's into you.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta do this thing and just find that notice and just say, I'm going forward. I'm going forward. And because I had the brain tumor, I had breast cancer in years, 2010 over here, 2020 over here, and then I had lung cancer last year. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
still here.
Right.
And that's what it is. Just think about your mindset and shift it. And
Right.
that's what it is.
Right. Now, what I say with some people, the reason why I asked that question is because even besides the like from not having an illness, I think people still get fearful when it comes to age. And I think that sometimes people will not do things just because some people are so quick to mention their age, when it comes to a
Mhm.
lot of things. Like you ever talk to someone and every time it comes up to someone, I'm such and such years old, as if like just because you're saying you're that age, you can't do something. And so I think that sometimes the number, because like I said, even I remember I was talking to someone the other day and they was like, I'm old over here. And I'm like, no, you're not, because the person was like in the lower 50s. However, but it's like sometimes people in their mind, they just instantly feel like just because they have hit 50 and went up, they instantly feel like, I'm old. And they
Right.
start putting that in their head, or I can't do this and I can't do that because of this and because of that. And it's like, you can't, like, I have an aunt who actually went back to school and got her degree in her 70s. And so that's why I'm like, so you can do whatever you want to do and whatever you put your mind to.
Yeah.
And you just, people have to, I think, need to get out of that whole age thing.
Yes.
That's what I'm like. So when people say,
Oh,
like, some people think life ends at 40, 50, 60, like you have to
no.
understand that that's the age is, growth. Like you're learning more, you're experiencing more. So don't look at that as the end of all beings just because you're going up, because you always want to, we all want to see that, we all want to see if we can get to that 100. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you want to be at those ages. So I want people to stop thinking that just because you hit in a certain age, that you can't keep continuing to go on. Like, you know, you can't,
Sis.
you still have to live your life. And I just want people to get that. And that's what she was talking about. Like, you have to get that out of your mind, that just because you're
Yes.
at a certain age, you got to think of that age as you can't do things. You can do
Get
what
it out of your mind. Sis,
exactly.
you are swinging, sis. You are sitting it,
Right.
right? Because when listen to this, I graduated from my with my degree, right?
Mhm.
And I didn't even know that I had a dual degree. I was 45. I think
Mhm.
I was 42. In 2000, I had past, I didn't even know that I did a dual degree
Mhm.
because I had both degrees, right?
Right.
And girl, I didn't even know it. And
Mhm.
in that moment, I did those dual degrees at 44th
Mhm.
degree. I'm saying, and oh my God, I was just so just proud of that, right? And that moment, I did not even know that because I had dual degrees over my my
Mhm.
degree in the situation, but that was beautiful. I did not even have an idea, but
Mhm.
just keep that power and just know that you don't even have an idea, but you can still redeem in that moment and
Right.
in that time. I was 40 some years old in 2000. That's when I had the dual degree. Shit, I'm 63 now. Shit. And I was so just so like just in just oh my God. But we not should not lead and just feel like it's the end. It's not.
Right.
This is just the beginning. And that's what you should be able to just lay out on the table, be just encouraged.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
And that's what it is. And I'm
Exactly.
just so glad. I'm so glad. Like I said, I had no idea, girl. I had my little stuff. I was like, shit, they don't bounce me out here in two different degrees because both of those things were, in the same, giving for that in inspiration. I was like, wow. I didn't
Right.
even know. I did not even know, but I'm glad. I'm grateful.
And that's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, Miss Brooks, Toots Brooks is watching. She said, "Me, some people just give up. Some people just stop and drop it. They need to stop and can drop it like it's hot." Fight back, Miss Cassandra. Good evening, Miss Bratwell. As a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. That's true.
Yes.
And we just going to shift over to this topic. So I also posted this. I don't know if anybody's seen my page, but I posted a video of TD Jakes. And TD Jakes talked about how people often return to struggle because it feels familiar. And so what I want to ask is, why do people return to toxic relationships? So you have some people who will be getting beat on, have a bad relationship, have things going on. They may leave or they may stay, but they stay because they're comfortable, they're familiar with that situation, even though it's not a good thing, but they stay in these situations, and not just relationships. Let's just say it can be in the circles that you keep, because I don't want it to all be about just for like a relationship, like, because I feel like sometimes people stay in environments because that's the environments that they're comfortable in. So let's just say, why
Yes.
do you think that, not only why do you think that people turn to these toxic things, but why do some people keep choosing the same type of partner, and why do people stay around negative friends and family members? And my other question is, can struggle become comfortable? Can struggle,
Oh,
is it possible to become addicted to chaos? You see what I'm saying? Like, can some people be addicted to chaos, so addicted to chaos that they have to stay in those type of environments because they can't see themselves in a place of peace? So sometimes people don't fear failure, they just fear their success, because success requires change and they scared to change.
oh my God. Okay. Okay. I'm just let me go forward in this. And I look forward. I look forward to see what our family is saying in the chat.
Right.
Okay.
See,
because
Miss
for
Frank,
me,
comfortable.
okay, this is what I had did. And this is what I would say to anybody in a relationship, don't do. Because I ended up, I created a situation, right? Because at the time I was 45 years young, right? And I was like, I just wanted to be in love. I just wanted somebody to love me, right? Because I'm all this, I am her, okay? I was her. And I wanted to have love in the relationship. But I created a situation to where I brought somebody into my relationship. And don't never do this. Don't bring nobody into your relationship that's got an empty ass plate and they ain't got nothing but a knife and a fork. Because they gonna eat off you, okay? But okay. I did that shit, okay? I invited somebody into my world where I was the breadwinner. I did all this. I'm like, come on down here where I am. I got us. Blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. But okay. But here's the deal. When you invite somebody into your table on your relationship and they don't have anything, that's kind of like, that's some toxic shit, okay? And so I realized that I did not have a partner that was partnering with me, okay? So that's a problem. That's a problem. And so then even when this partner was not in place to support me and support our relationship, that was a problem. So in that relationship, that shit started going sideways, and I started realizing that this is not what God has ordained. And for me, because I love God, I love a relationship, I had to reality kicked in. It's not horizontal, but it's relationship. And so that's where I begin to realize this is not it. And then when you realize that that's not what God has ordained for you, you got to know this. And then when God, okay, here's what it was. God was saying, I'm not going to die in this. Because see, I was the breadwinner her. I'm going into all of this, but I'm not going to die in this. This is not what God has ordained for me. I'm not going to be, because I'm in the church and I love God, I'm going to stay on this. No, that's what I wasn't going to do. But God said, when you release this and allow me, and then I can do all this, honey, I'm licked up with a king right now. That loves me, loves where I am. That relationship had to be let it go. But some of us are in situations where we will call and just love on some, can I just say it, some bullshit, okay? You on some bullshit. We can't be on this bullshit situation, but we got to trust the Lord and what he has. And my thing is what I recall. It's not like what I need. It's what God, you have called me to be unto you.
Right.
And that's what it is. And I was in church. I love God. And I'm not trying to be in this desecrated situation.
Right.
But we got to know where we are and what we love. I love God, but he wasn't on that. And honey, when I let that foolishness go, I let go of Bozo and allow God to bring in Boaz. I got a king right now. Okay.
Right.
And I'm telling you, I asked God, I want to be in love before I die. I'm not going to be in trauma.
Now what you're saying now let's step back a second, because there are what you just said, but then there's also situations sometimes where I think sometimes people are so conditioned because of what. Now let me say, I don't know. Y'all answer this question in the chat for me.
Let's go.
Answer this question? Do you feel that sometimes growing up, now if there is two parents in the household, say you have both your parents in the household and there's a loving relationship, do you think that a lot of times that those kids that grew up in that environment they choose better relationships? Do you think that when there's not two parents, and or if there's a bad relationship in your household, if they see something bad, do you also see or tend to see that child, whether it's a boy or a girl, like say if it's an abusive relationship, say the man was hitting on a woman, do you see where the girl child would then wind up dating someone who hits on her? Or maybe that boy, if it's a boy child, he may then turn and start hitting on his woman. Or, do you see the changes on what they're surrounding themselves with sometimes tend to be on how they portray their relationships because of what they've seen in the environment?
Okay, let's keep it a buck. We keep it a buck. We're gonna go all the way in right now. Because like I said, I'm 63 years young, right? Mm-hmm. And with me, it was a situation to where I saw abusiveness when I was young. I was in the 60s, right? I was born in 1963. My mom had abusive boyfriends. My auntie, who kept us, that was my homegirl, right? I'm named after my auntie. I'm Denise Louise, right? After my auntie Louise. Mm-hmm. But she had an abusive husband that beat her on the regular, right? Mm. And as 5 years old, sis, I was saying to myself, when I get grown, I ain't gonna let no man beat me up. At 5 years old.
What made you feel like that at 5? What made you feel like you don't want that at 5? Because there's somebody else who might have been 5 in that situation, and they may have not have thought of that. They may have thought that was okay.
Because I saw it. I saw it on a regular. When this man would come into the house, I would see his footsteps coming up the steps. And I'm like, oh, damn. Ain't he finna get it, right? And he would just beat her up. Wow. And I was like, oh, shit. And she was sending us, because we lived in a 2-family flat. Remember, back in the 70s, it was 2-family flat. So we lived in a house on 5746 Cook. I'm telling you, I'm 6 years old and I can see this shit. And this man would come home and I knew, and this is after he was released from prison. So he's like beating her up. And then sometime, and back in the day, I'm telling you, she worked for these white people, right? And sometimes AT would clean their house. I'm telling you, I'm gonna try not to get emotional. But over the weekends, if they went out of town, she would keep their dog, right? And Heidi, I was telling Alex, the name of the dog was Heidi. And if she brought Heidi home, that was like fun. We would get to see the dog and whatever, and just popcorn and beating up. And just to have that moment to where she would just care for us and bring us up. We would just have fun with her, right? But if this dude would come home, her husband, him being in the house, it would just be so negative. And he gonna come into the house, he gonna jump on her. She would tell us to go back downstairs because we have a 2-story house, right? He would tell us to go back downstairs because she knew he'd gonna get aggressive with her. And so he jumping on her. We would hear this downstairs. Wow. And it was so sad to me. Like, AT just trying to do the best she can. And why is he just so this aggressive to her? But in those moments at 5 years old, I remember I was in kindergarten and I would say to myself, I'm not going to ever have a man abuse me. A man is never going to hit me. But my mom had a couple of abusive boyfriends, right? And my uncle, him, who was beating on auntie, that's why we left from living beneath them. Girl, do you know this man shot under? to the floor. He was so aggressive, but he shot down through the house. And that's what my mom said, that's enough is enough. Because he could have killed us at the kitchen table that day.
Wow.
But my God, but that's when I think through my life, through my growing up, that I would never allow a man to abuse me. And then once I asked my auntie, after he beat her up so bad, he just blew her eye out the socket. I said, auntie, I said, did you ever, I'm telling you, I'm a teenager now. And I said, did you ever think about killing him? Did you ever think about, finishing him? And she said, baby, he wasn't worth it. He wasn't worth it. And I was like, damn. Because I would have knocked his ass down the steps. I'd have did something to his ass. But that was her emotion that I wouldn't have done. He wasn't worth it. And then she went back to him. And so, but for me, as a young woman, not being able to just like understand that. Oh, girl, I'm telling you, see, it makes me emotional right now.
I see it.
Because she was such a beautiful
hard to go through, right? That's hard to watch. And that's another thing I say, even changing it up just a little bit, is when it comes to as parents.
I'm sorry.
No, you have to let it out. But as parents, I say as well, in bringing up your children, a lot of times we want to like keep our kids safe. We want to now we want to do certain things to make sure that they're okay. However, when is enough enough? Because sometimes as parents, we can cripple our kids so much to the point that they grow up and not even have the skills to do certain things. Like even having those conversations, like right now we're here and we're talking this out and you're bringing up those emotions. And I can see like this is something that is really touching to you. And especially when it comes to being in a domestic type of situation. And you have people who are growing up and going through these situations, and and sometimes it's not always just that. Sometimes it can just be verbal. Sometimes somebody can just verbally attack you all the time. But then, and let's just take it away from abuse altogether. There can be situations in a household that are just unhealthy. Like it could be just things that are not being done in your home that are just not healthy for you. You're not growing together. So I'm gonna switch this off a little bit because I want to talk about what TD Jakes also talked about when he said that his mother exposed him to environments that he couldn't afford. And so that is another thing I want to talk about where it comes to exposure. How important is exposure? Because you can become something you've never seen. Just like how you just said, you said you saw that, but in your mind, you said this is not going to happen to me. Somebody else may have saw that and been in the same situation, and guess what? That same thing is happening to them. So, but also when it comes to having something nice, you have some people who would never come out the hood because they exposed to the hood. They're used to the hood. They're used to being in that environment. So they feel like they don't have the mindset to come out of that environment. Some people would never have their own. You have some people who are grown and never had their own anything. And it's because they're so used to being handed things and they're not being taught, hey, this is, or not being shown like, I need you to be doing this. Like, for example, when it came to my daughter, I always was like, I wanted her to have her own place. I never wanted her to leave from me, and as soon as she leave from me, jump and go to living with a man, because I feel like you never will get the value and understanding of being on your own and having the responsibility of paying bills on your own. And I always wanted her to have that experience of paying bills and doing things by herself before she got into a situation where she ever did it, because I also see where there are women who do that and then they don't know how to really handle it. And so then they get overwhelmed. They go through depression. They go through mental illness. They go through all types of things because they never had that going through them. And even as parents, and even if you have kids staying in your home, this is something that you have to do with them, even if it's as paying a bill in a household. like if they having to stay for a certain amount of time or whatever the case is, but don't let people get too comfortable, because
Right.
if you allow people to get too comfortable, they're never going to grow. And that is also a person shortening the growth in the mindset of someone by not allowing them the exposure. And that's when we talk about exposure. You have to expose, make sure that how does this environment shape your mindset? What happens
Yes.
when you're around the most successful, when you're the only most successful person in your circle? You have to have other people in your circle that is successful. You can't be the only smart one in your circle. You need somebody.
Hey!
You need somebody else in your circle to be able to have that. You know what I mean? That's something. Because if you're sitting around, that's just like they always say: if you got 5 broke friends, you're gonna be the 6th one. You start saying, because of the fact of the matter is, if you keep hanging around, then that's another word that you don't want to use. You also want to trend. You want to make sure that you're exposing your mind to not say certain things about yourself. Because if you keep saying you broke, then guess what? You're gonna be broke.
That's what you speaking.
So,
Yes.
so we have to think about all these things when it comes to the environments and our mindset. So let's talk about that mindset, because when we talk about the times you attend events, the times we attend conferences, we attend trainings, networking opportunities, all these things are expansions to our
Yes.
vision. All these things that we're doing, we getting in rooms that will make us uncomfortable so we can later on be comfortable. Because sometimes some people
Yes.
don't know how to get out of their comfort zone, and that's why they stay in the zone that they're in forever, because they can't.
Oh,
And that's like a prime example. I actually just had a conversation recently when I was talking to my dad, and I was like, yeah, I was when I first came, it was like, oh, things didn't work the way it was supposed to when I moved down to Georgia. But I was telling him, I said, but if I never did, look at all the things that I accomplished since I've been here. So
yes.
sometimes God will put you in a place that you may not think is the right thing for you at that moment, but sometimes he's positioning you for something greater. And that's why I say sometimes we have to think about why these things are coming up when the time is coming up, and then exposing ourselves to something different. Because if I would have stayed, or even had my child staying in those things environment, she may stay in the environment. It could be a thing where she could have had children young. She could have, been sitting there on the block. You know what I mean? Like, like it could have been just worrying about drinking and smoking, not trying to go to college.
Totally different. Yes.
To be told like the environment can really change up everything. But sometimes the exposure, or sometimes we have to do the uncomfortable thing. Me was uncomfortable because I pretty much left everybody who I hung out around, my friends and everybody. I had to leave that environment, and I had to connect with myself, because sometimes it is about us. We have to have that selfishness within. And I remember Tyrese talked about this one time, and we talked about this on another platform about being selfish. And a lot of time, and like he said, the beginning of that is self. And what are we doing for ourselves? Sometimes we worry about everybody else, but what are we doing for ourselves? Sometimes we have to think about focusing on me, so I can be. How can I expect my child to be great if I'm not even thinking about myself as being great?
Oh my God, sis, you sound so much like me and my mom, okay? Because my mom wanted me to be a nurse, right? I knew I wasn't feeling that nurse life. I am the nurturer. I wasn't gonna be the nurse, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with my mom, when did I leave St. Louis? Okay, that St. Louis was my background, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with my mom and my sister was out in California. But I was working at White Castle, girl. I was making mega money, right? I'm doing my little, get off work and go kicking it and whatnot. But she was like, you better than this. I got more for you. There's more in you than this.
Right.
And when my mom said, you need to go out to California, go get a job, go out there, work for the government that your sister doing, and that's what you need to do, because she loved me enough and say this is not it. And I tell you that when that situation led me out to California to go get a government job, and that's what retired me at 57 years young. I'm telling you, I've been 6 years.
That's
just
all.
retired because my mom saw that in me. She loved me enough to set me free. And me and my mom was tight, okay? We done did it all. Just, oh my God. Everything that we did.
I want somebody to comment on that. What you said, your mom did that for you to say that again?
My mom set me free to say, you need to go get this retirement to go work for the government when I was like 50 something. I was 20 something, and let me out of St. Louis, Missouri. And you know, St. Louis is a fucking apartheid, the baby apartheid, got me out of there to send me to California. And that's what gave me a 57-year career in the government,
right?
Because she loved me enough to let me go.
That's it.
And sometimes that's what we got to do. Exactly. Love your people enough to let them go.
And Colette said, me either anticipating of death is the worst than death itself. Carolyn Wynn says, some people just can't break away from the curse, and that's facts. Yeah. Also say yes, Lord, amen. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes some people can't get away, and that's what I said.
You got to break loose.
When it comes to where you have to look at where you try to go.
Yes.
And that's why I always say that's why when people always think that this conversation is for your job. When they ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You notice most jobs going to ask you that. Where do you see yourself in a year? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? That shouldn't just be a question that you hear when you go into a job. That should be a question that you should be having for yourself in life. Where do I see myself in a year? Where do I see myself in 5 years? You can even do that in a relationship. Where do we see ourselves in a year? Where do we see ourselves in 5 years?
Come on.
Those are all things that you can, that same question can be asked in every situation that you're in. Yeah. And then you really have to sit down and don't just say it, but really put it down on paper. Like, what are we doing to move towards these goals?
What are we doing?
Because I know for me, even on a day, like I have daily goals. Like if I have something that I have to do, I'll go and write down. I have my sheet, I have my to-do list, and I will literally write down and then check off the things that I need to do for that day to make sure I get everything done. And that is what we have to do in general within our lives. Like if we know we have a goal that we're trying to get to, we have to do what we got to do to get to that goal. And so just like even with this, like we was doing this podcast. We both had separate podcasts that were away from talking out with D&D. I said, sometimes we have to put some things on the back burner to grow one thing to get to the next thing. So that's why I was like, you know what? Let me put my personal one aside so we can focus on this. And look how we starting to grow this and get people to come on this and hearing these different things. Because then when you go back and flip it, guess what? Now you have that exposure already. So then you don't have to worry about killing yourself as much when it comes to
sweetheart. Oh my God.
Think about those things that are in line with your daily.
And align with the daily, because I'm telling you right now, even out here right now, where I was talking about what I need to do moving forward and doing my taxes stuff, I'm just so blessed that I connected with you as not only as a sister friend, as a content creator, as all of this, as a business, okay? People need to understand when you get connected to the right person that can talk to you and grow you and be in this area where we are right now, it is amazing. And I tell you that I'm so grateful for this. I'm grateful for our connection. I'm grateful for you as a tax provider, as a business owner, all of that. This is what we need to connect and grow and share. This is what it is.
And I'm going to go on a service announcement. And I hope this person is listening. I ain't going to say a name because I put you out there. But if you're listening to me right now, you have the gift and the skills to do whatever it is that you need to do. You cannot sit back. And this person, I hope you're listening, because I'm saying this for a reason. You have the gifts to do. You are skilled to do. You are amazing, amazing, amazing cook. You can cook your behind off. You could actually open up a food truck and be a successful person. Within 1 year, I can see you as a six-figure income earner. You
Hey,
sit back and keep allowing yourself to stay in an environment that does not align with you. And like I said,
ooh,
this person is listening to me because I'm feeling this in my spirit right now that this needs to be
speak
said.
on it. Speak on it.
I feel as though you truly need to get yourself away from the environment that you are in right now. And you need to get around some people who really, truly want to see your success. You need to get around people who are doing things that are aligned with more of the success side of you, opposed to where you're comfortable is right now. And if you are listening to this, I hope you take this as me just helping you out, because I feel like you are heading in the wrong direction. So again,
Speak
if
on
you're
it.
listening to
Speak
this,
on it.
I pray that you listen and follow this, because life is more than sitting around smoking weed. Life is more than sitting around chasing behind somebody who, if somebody tells you they don't want you, you walk away. You do
Walk
not
off.
sit back and keep trying to feed and run after somebody who is telling you they are not there with you. If they are showing, the person can tell you anything, but their actions show you more than anything. And if that person keeps
Ooh,
showing you one thing, then you need to move on their actions and not by what their words are. Focus on
that's a
you
word,
right
sis.
now, and trust me, if you're hearing this, you will be successful. And I can tell you
That
right
is a
now, I
word.
see this for you in the year. I hope this
That's
person
a
hears
word.
it. I just wanted to say that.
That's a word. And
Right.
you speaking on it. And that's what it takes. It takes folks that are speaking a word over your life. And that's it. That's it. And
Right.
that's all. Oh, Jesus.
Now we're gonna
That's
move
it. And
this
that's all.
segment over because I just had to put that on there. But now we're gonna talk about the cost of staying stuck. Now, what
Woo.
is the price of refusing to change? What is the price? How many people sacrifice their future for temporary comfort? What opportunities have people missed because they were afraid? And how do you know when it's time to move on from a relationship, friendship, job, or environment? Is the pain of staying the same? Is the pain of staying the same greater than the pain of change? So would you stay in a situation just because it's comfortable, and you would you sacrifice happiness because you rather be comfortable? Would you sacrifice your growth because you rather stay at a place that you're familiar? What would that cost you?
It's going to cost you your life. Okay. Because even when I had divorced out of a situation that was dead in the water, right? And for every reason, I don't know. I'm gonna just give y'all the trio. I at one point I was a functional bud addict. Okay, I'm just telling it the truth. I was bud addict. I was just on some bull crap. And then when I had divorced this individual who was not a worker bee, I'm the breadwinner. All this was going on. And then for whatever reason, I was like, oh, well, let me just see. I'm going to get back with him. What the fuck? But anyway, when I got rid of this situation and got onto the just the reality, and God was showing me that you can't keep fooling with bozo. If you keep latching on to bozo, I cannot bless you with the reality that's for you, right? So okay,
So
that was
like, stop right there. Hold on, because somebody listening to this may need to hear this. So you said you wanted to get, this person was not for you. This person didn't have a job. This person wasn't doing what they were supposed to do, but
no.
you wanted to stay in that situation. What made you want to stay in that situation at that time?
Because in that moment, I don't know if I was just high or I was thinking this is just comfortable, but it wasn't comfortable because I was angry. This was messing with my reality with God. It was just angry. It was just weird. That's how I knew it was not of God. But sometimes we get comfortable with what we comfortable with, but it wasn't reality.
Comfortable? Was it comfortable because of this having a partner? or was it comfortable because of the
having a partner? You name that. It was just like, okay, I'm just with a guy and I'm at the church and I'm with him. The fuck? But I wasn't happy. It was not peace. It was not God, and I was not in peace. Right?
Also,
so
with that now, you said he wasn't doing certain things. So was it ever a chance that you ever had that conversation on what he needed to do, and did you ever try to help him get to that point?
Yes.
And
girl,
did he decline it, or did he not do it, or was there ever a time where he started trying to do something?
He wasn't trying to do nothing. And I'm coming home every day from my job that I don't know if I had mentioned that I'm in a racist job, and I'm out here, I'm just doing my 12 hours a day. I'm doing my thing, but I'm talking to this man and I'm telling him what I desire, not even what I need, but this is my desire. And I'm crying. I'm coming home. I'm trying to talk to him about what I need. And in that moment, God was telling me, oh shit, if you cannot understand what I'm telling you that I need and I desire, and you not even with me. So that's when the ball just burst. It was like, if you can't hear me, what else can I do? I'm trying this. I am crying. Do you understand? You coming home from a 12-hour job. I'm I'm paying for the mortgage, everything. I'm paying all this, and you can't hear me. It was like, damn. And that's when it was like, if you can't understand me, if you can't hear me, I even said to him one time, if you can't hear me, what you can't do, somebody else will.
Right.
And that's when I was broken. I was like, damn, I'm taking care of my sick mom. I'm trying to provide for you. I'm covering all of this, and you can't hear me. That's when it was like really, really sad. It was just like in that brokenness in that moment. And I said, and that's when God was telling me, I'm not going to die in this. Right. I'm not going to die like this. No.
You get sick, you get tired of
sick and tired.
If you're sick and tired of being sick, you're tired, it's time to let go and let God. Yeah. So if anybody in the comments, if you're on here and you've been in a situation, let me just know, because I'm just curious to see, because I know there's a lot of people who I can say that, be in situations with people, be in relationships with people, and the person might not be doing the thing that you need. And so when I hear that, my question now is, now we all go through things in relationships. Nobody's relationship is perfect. However, when it comes to financial situations, and when it comes to taking care of responsibilities, making sure a person has a job, what are the questions that you're asking these people, and what are the requirements that you're getting in the beginning of the relationship before it gets any further? Or are you just, or sometimes are people just so blinded of the fun that you're having that you're not thinking about the long-term things? Or are you not really truly asking these questions? Because I think sometimes starting off relationships, sometimes people are not asking these requirements. So if I'm somebody who's not working, and I don't work, nor do I try to figure out about getting money or making money, and I don't see myself moving in that aspect, what makes you think that if I get with you, I'm going to change? Like, do you feel like a person really going to change? Or do you think that you're going to make that person change if you tell that person certain things or teach that person certain things? Or do you think that you can help that person? Like, what is it that a person in their mindset is thinking, well, why you would even continue? Because for me, like, I know sometimes I've been in a situation one time where somebody didn't have, right? They might not have had a job, but they weren't a person that wasn't one that was about making money and working. So they had that ambition. So for me, I can't see myself dating somebody without ambition. Like, if I can't see you moving and I don't see you getting towards anything, I can't see us really doing anything, because I feel like you're going to be a clutch to me. And then therefore I'm going to, if I do have a kid, you're just another kid of mine, because now I'm taking care of you and my child.
Okay, though. In that moment when you're thinking with that person, my mindset was that, okay, You gonna comfort. He was up here in Northern California. I'm down here. I know who I am. I got my shit is lock on what, right? But I was like, if you come down here, I got you until you get it together, right? That's what my
Now,
mindset
what was he
was.
doing before he moved though that made you think that if he come that he would get it together? Was he doing?
Because he had other jobs, right?
Oh,
This dude had jobs, right? That he could go out and get these other jobs. He had that. He wasn't just some, low life. He didn't have no jobs, right?
right.
But what the deal was, but I didn't know. But I'm still saying, you come down here, I got you until you get it together. Woody woo, because I know
right here, I got you. Do you think that I got you made him comfortable?
that got you may have made him comfortable, but it was this arrogant BS spirit about him, right? I didn't know that, but he had this arrogant spirit. He had good jobs. He
Right.
was like, get supervisory jobs, do all this, do the things. But he had this spirit about him that was just negative. And I'm talking to him saying, listen here.
Right.
You know what? That's not the best. And this spirit that you have about you, it's about us now. We need you to be able to be in this space. But he didn't understand that. He said when I would mention that I wasn't supportive. No, nigga, I'm telling you that you now are connected to me. Me and you are one. So but he didn't get that. And then if I would speak up and say something, I'm not supporting him. You on some fuck shit. Okay, forgive me. You on this fuck shit right now, but this is about us.
Right.
And he didn't gather that. And I was like, wow, if you go into a job that has situations and you not understanding that they not going to support you, they going to support the group. Why can't you understand that?
Right.
But that's what the reality was. And that was weird as F to me. And so it was like, wow. But I know who I am. I'm going to support us. This is what it is. Even when I bought my houses, I was like, okay, in my mind, okay, I'm me building this situation and get my house. I just need this husband to do blah, blah, blah. Girl, don't you know it took me? It was me. It was my down payment. It was all of this. It was the moment. And then after 8 years of me being in this relationship, girl, don't you know the Holy Ghost had to check me, got me by my collar and said, listen here, you know what? I got your finances too. Your situation over 650 to get this. I provided for you. It was me. Girl, God had to check me real good. Because even when I bought the house, when I got it, I'm rolling away from doing the paperwork for my house and I'm crying because this dude is like having some attitude. And God was like, you know what? It was me. I did this for you.
And you know, it's so crazy that you say that because I feel like we've all been in those situations at some point. I think that what happens a lot of times, because I remember I went through not exactly like that, but something similar. But I think that sometimes we get so used to a person or we don't want something to break off because either there's children involved or either we feel like we feel like things will change. And we focus so much on what we assume is going to be opposed to what it actually is. And the signs are all right there, all the signs be in front of us, but we don't follow those signs. We just go off of, oh, we might have fun with this person. This person might
emotions.
Good emotional. And what Miss Carolyn said, she said that some people get confused. They confuse sex with love. And then Colette said, all spirits are not good spirits. All Peter is not good Peter. And that's true. Like some people get blinded by the sex. Sometimes people get blinded by the money. Some people stay in relationship just for those types of things, just for sex. Or
yes.
And then sometimes
I think we want a connection.
But one thing I must say that we all, whether you're a man or a woman, because I don't want this to be like a thing where it's like a bashing of a men thing or bashing of a woman thing. I want people to know in any relationship, when it comes to like when you see the signs of something up front, you have to that's God showing us a sign. And I started realizing that after the fact, but we all had to go through those turmoils before we start realizing that. But when he starts showing you those signs, you gotta like pay attention to them signs and say,
Pay
okay,
attention.
this is it right here, because
Pay attention.
because then you start trying to force things, and then it start getting worse and worse, and then it goes down a longer line. Because I also was watching a funny, and the reason why I'm laughing is because I was watching this video with Cameron earlier, and one of the things he was talking about, he made a big thing about that you because you're in California, so I had to say that. He was like, he said, don't have nobody in California because they have that law in California where you have those percentages of a person's income and assets when you have a baby, no matter what the situation is. So he was like, there's people actually trying to get registered and doing things in California also they can get a certain amount of money. So even when it comes to alimony, a person, if you got 3 kids with somebody, you can actually get 50% of their income. If you for alimony, that's not even including the child support. So he was like, don't have no babies in California.
Okay. Let me end it on this. Because that alimony in California is some fuck shit. Because even with this man that wasn't working regularly, do you know this dude tried to come out and say to me that he wanted some alimony? And then we had a physical altercation. And I'm telling you, you better get the police involved. And they don't call the police on the black man. Don't put your hands on me. But that alimony BS, he tried to ask me for alimony. He wasn't working regularly. But my lawyer said, see, you got to get the lawyer. My lawyer said, no, there's no way that he can get alimony because that's like giving your abuser alimony. And then when it all went down, it's like, no, we ain't gonna do no alimony. We ain't gonna do none of this. And he could have got me for $85,000 for the way that my house had accrued, and then the point that my
he could have told the house.
My house had accrued $100,000 in that 8 years. So that would have been $50,000 for him, and then my what you call it? My 401k had accrued by $40,000. So that would have been $80,000 that he would have been accrued of. But honey, praise God for the attorney. He did not get that. I offered him $10,000 versus he didn't know I had a lawyer how much they were saying. $50,000 for the house, 45 for the my shit, what am I trying to say? For my 50,000, my 40,000 for the lawyer. I mean, for what I earned over the 45, right? So that would have been 85 for him. 85 effing $1,000. And I tell anybody, if you own in California, you better get you a working women's contract, okay? So that 85 went out the window. But see, when you dealing with a brokey that did shit and don't work regular, I offered him 10,000, and he took that 10. That's what I was paying him out the 10. Then he gonna come back and say, we saw my house up for sale before I moved to Vegas. Oh, I got this much, but you ain't. I said, go to page 7 of your decree and see what it said. Your decree said your ass paid out them 10,000. Go fill that. Go read that. As a matter of fact, I forwarded it to him. He got 10 grand. He didn't get that 75, and I was done with it. Okay, so go do that. Go read that.
You got a job, y'all. You might want to have yourself a prenup because
a pre-woman's prenup
for the rich people. Somebody, you could just be making $40,000 a year, and you can have 20 of it. So,
Get you a working woman's
cover
prenup.
your expenses. Cover your expenses because
Cover it,
not
because California will set you out to dry. Get you a working woman's prenup. And I ain't saying no poor woman, because I wasn't poor. I was working. Right. Go get you a working woman's prenup. I don't know what these other situations in these states do, but California will F you over and tell you that everything from that thing forward. And like I said, my dude wasn't working regular.
Anytime you work, because my thing is, especially if you're married, because if you get married to anybody, anything that you had before the marriage was yours. You worked hard for that. You got that. So you want to cover the stuff that you had before, because a lot of times once you get, well, not a lot, but it is true that once you get married, whatever you get in that marriage, now it becomes y'all. So say for instance, I have my house and I had my house before I get married. That's my house, and he can't take that from me. And I can put that in my paperwork. He has no rights to this because this is something I had beforehand. Now, if I got a house and I was married and we got it at the time we were married, now he has access to half of my house. So therefore, when it comes to whatever situations that y'all are in, make sure you're covering yourself when it comes to your assets and your money, because those God want to be sitting there looking crazy and paying out somebody for something that you don't work so hard for. So be careful with that, because you don't want that to happen to you. Now we're going to talk about breaking the cycle. Now, what practical steps can someone take to change their environment? How do you build confidence when starting over? Because as we all do, we all have to start over. What role does faith play in taking chances? And what advice would you give someone who feels stuck today? What's one thing you need to let go of to get yourself to the next level? So that is what I want to talk about now, because a lot of times we're in these situations. However, nobody has, you ain't staying in these situations. We're in it, but however, we're going to do what we got to do to get out of it. So what are you going to do to change these situations that happen? And what is it looking like when it comes to starting over?
I think for me, I'm talking about me personally, right? I think that in a personal situation, you need to be able to sit down and be on the yikes. And for me, it was personal, right? Touching God and asking God, because you know I'm a 3-time resident for just being married, right? 2 times I was 19, I was 25, and when I met King Day, I was 55. And so for me to be in this space where I trusting God, I had to trust God, because that other situation that I was just sharing with y'all, homeboy, wasn't that all what it was? I'm bringing you to my table with you ain't got no food, you just got a fucking knife and a fork. That bullshit. I'm just saying, I created that. But for me, when I asked God, when I got into a spiritual place of God, I just want to be loved before I die. I just want all that. And that's when God showed up. So for me, having a spiritual situation with a partner that loved me to life, that I love to life, that would care for me. I'm telling you, this man been with me when I've been sick. Y'all know I've been down. I've been through breast cancer twice. I've been through lung cancer. He will bathe me. He feeds me. He covers me. That means something to me. And so when I ask God to cover me and love me in this period of my life, it's real. But I'm just telling you that this is what it is for me, and that I wasn't just trying to just do what I wanted to do, but I asked God and He's covered me. And that's what it is for me. It's just beautiful. And I think that when people, when a couple comes together and we are in just what we said the other day, we was talking about this. When you got communication and you got real love,
Right.
that's what matters. That
Mm-hmm.
is real. I'm just not talking about table stuff. I'm talking about he loves me and me, him, and the dog and the family. We love each other. You know what I'm saying? He loves you. We out here together, and it's just like, wow. I think that's beautiful, but
I think that's amazing. And one thing that I want to put out there that you said is that he loves you and he shows
yeah,
you how much he loves you. And that is one thing that people need to understand is when you get somebody in your life who truly shows you how much they love you and they got your back, that is somebody who you don't want to discard. You don't want to discard
yeah,
somebody who, if you sick and down and out, that person is holding it down for you. That's not the person you discard because you'll end up with
yeah,
somebody who won't do none of that for you. So you really got to be
yes,
careful of how you also, because I really strongly believe in karma too. And a lot of
yeah,
times when it comes to that, if you push away somebody who don't have you and don't, and it'll come right back around. So it has to be true.
exactly.
It has to be somebody who really is wanting to be there for you and love on you. And like you said, be there for you. It can't be a thing
Yeah,
where they just is this, and then you can't be in a situation just because you got a situation. Because sometimes people will get in the situation because they're like, oh, I need these bills paid. Because I've heard this where it's like people will be in the, oh, I'm trying to get this. So I'm going, I'm going to marry this person
right.
and take care. No, if it's not real love and it's not real strong love, is not somebody who going to have your back through thick and thin, don't just do
Yeah.
it because it's going to backfire on you. You
Ooh,
want to be with somebody
and I
because real
so
sincere,
appreciate that.
right? And that's what you
Exactly.
got now. So that's why those tears is coming because God is there with you. And he's like, you got the right one now because he took you
Right.
through so you can see, but he let you see, hey, it's better right here. You was bought, you got showed love. And sometimes people can, and don't get me wrong, because sometimes people can go through something and it might be a bad situation the first time, and you might go back around and it may be good the second. You know what I mean? So there's not saying knock out the things that happen when it comes to relationships, and you can't never be, because sometimes people say
Right.
don't go backwards. You know what I mean? But sometimes some things can happen, some things can turn around, but you really got to watch the actions when you go backwards. You gotta
Exactly. And
watch
that's what I
your
feel.
motivations, and you gotta watch what the real purpose is. Like, are you coming here because of this? Are you here because of it's really about me? Are you really loving on me? Are we really trying to be
Right.
together? It can't because of a situation. And so that's why I'm
It's
like,
so
for me,
peaceful.
and for me, I'm big on making sure yourself is straight first before you even do that. So therefore, you're not looking for a pocketbook. I don't like
Right.
to hear that somebody is there somebody for some financial reasons. Like, I want, if we're coming together, I want us to both equally. I want us both to be talking about how our scores is over 700 credit score. I want us both to be sitting there talking about how we got money in the bank. I want us both to be able to purchase, to do investments in different things. Like, I want us both on those things. So if we get something, we can both be able to say we got this together. It's not a thing
Right.
all put, because most relationships fail because of finances.
Right. Right.
One person stronger and doing everything right, it can turn off because of that. And so, like, even when I came here, like, a lot of people don't know like I said, one day I'm gonna get on and do my whole story. But this the kind of like when I came here, when I moved to Georgia, I came here with my child's father in the very beginning. When he came
Okay.
here, this house that I was in was technically in his sister's name. But when I came, I wound up, because his sister wanted to get off of it, and he was like, we're going to do this thing together. So then I wound up getting a house in my name. But when I did it, everything was on my money because of the fact that when he did it, he had done it in the beginning on his money. So me
Okay.
being a person that I am, I'm like, okay, I'm coming down. It's going under me. So this is my money now. So I'm putting the down payment. I paid for the inspection. I did all of that. So then when things fell apart, it was like, oh, because he was there before, and he felt like, okay, I'm not supposed to be here anymore. And now he like, I gotta go. And I'm like, no, because now this house is in my name. I
Wait
paid
a minute, hold up. Who had to go? He was saying, let it be. You out, he
right,
in.
right. And I was like, it don't work like that because now everything was under me. So you can't say like that I have to, because now everything is all under just my everything for me. Nothing ever, he could never fight me because why? When he actually did it, he didn't never even do it in his own name. He did it under his sister's name. So he had no proof or anything that he can prove even from the beginning. So his whole thing of, oh, I'm not doing anything, and oh, I don't want to be there, and I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, and want to not even do for his own child, is because he feel like the money that he paid, that $10,000 when he originally got it, I'm supposed to use that $10,000 is what I'm supposed to use to take care of my child from the money that he put on the down payment of the house from when he first got the house. So because he's not getting that back, that's why he feel like I don't want to do nothing when it comes to the child because I paid $10,000 and now I'm not getting that back. So that's why I feel like sometimes when it comes to situations, when it comes to finances and when it comes to property and different things like that, I just strongly recommend when it comes to certain situations that you, like I said, make sure your paperwork is in order. Make
Yes.
sure that you're covering yourself. And then also when you are doing things in a marriage, that you know exactly who you're doing it with. Because again, anytime you do something when you're married, it's y'all's now. It's 50-50. If you buy that house and that man and or that woman that you get married to, that person can now be entitled, if it don't work out, to 50%. You may have to wind up selling your house and giving that person for whatever 50% of what your house is worth if you ain't doing your paperwork right.
The
So that's why
fuck?
I tell people be careful. Be very careful when it comes to your money and be very careful when it comes to your finance. I'm not saying hide an account and be secretive. I mean, hey, you do what
But
you
be
do.
aware.
You have to be aware of a lot of things because you don't want to come in also with that separation and division and things. You want
Come
to
on, sis. You are
be
speaking
honest,
truth.
but you still got to cover yourself because at the end of the day, you have to be responsible for what is going to happen in your
Come
situation.
on, sis.
I didn't
Come
handle
on.
my paperwork, and if I wasn't the person that handled things right, I could have lost out and been sitting here looking crazy. Like what? You know what I mean? So
You
that's
got a beautiful house now because you were
really
aware.
smart, right? You got to be smart about how you handle your finances and how you handle those things because, like I say, things can come, but do
Come
not
on.
cut on. But like I said again, do not cut those ones off because a lot of times we get so excited about the fun we have with people. We get so excited sometimes about how they make us feel sexually. Those things is not the whole barrier when it comes to a relationship. If
Girl,
you got
you better
somebody that
speak
got
on
you,
it.
if I'm down and out, like I remember even when I had surgery, like if I'm with the person that actually, like you said, same thing, make sure I help with showers, all that kind of stuff. Like if you had somebody like that, that's somebody that you're not just going to say, oh, I don't want to deal with you no more. That person is looking out for you. That person is looking out, trying to help you, help your family, help different things.
Feed you, cover you.
Those are people you don't want to count out. The ones that ain't trying to do none of that, those is the ones you gotta get that side eye to. Like, I don't
Give
know.
you some raw oatmeal.
You gotta get those side eyes too, and you gotta really figure it out. But don't play somebody, and don't. And another thing is, just don't play with somebody here. If you don't want somebody, just leave them alone. Don't play with their
Yes.
mind. Don't play with their and then this like I watched. What's her name? Miami. Something. What's her name? The girl from Miami.
Young Miami that was fooling with Diddy.
Yeah, her. And she talked about it too. And she talked about, being with baby fathers and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, just like she said, you cannot sexually and be doing certain things when it comes to your baby father or your baby mother or whatever, because there's still a bond there. So when it comes to if you're separating in those relationships and you really don't want to be with that person no more, that's all off tides. There's no more connection when it comes to that at all. Our only conversation is about the child. I remember when all this stuff happened with me and my child, we don't have conversation because at this point, when you called me wrong the last time, I'm done with the conversation at that point. We don't need to talk. My child is old enough now to know how to pick up a phone and she can answer and everything else, and she has a bill. So therefore, you can call her phone when there's anything. We don't have to talk about anything anymore. And so,
That's
and then if we do have to talk, it's going to be about our child. It's not about what I'm doing, what's going on, none of that. Because our relationship is now based on the child we brought into this world. But one thing I don't want no one to do, and this is hear me, hear me, hear me, and there's never dog talk out the person that you was with, whether it's the child's father or the child's mother. Because at the end of the day, that is not on the child. The child shouldn't know what y'all are going through in your relationship. That is a child. I never brought that to my child because that was not for my child. Even when he wasn't doing the right thing, I still will say, "Did you call your dad and say happy birthday? Did you call your dad and say happy Father's Day?" Why? Because my beef with him was not with
not with her.
nothing
That's
to do
it.
with her. I want that to still have a relationship, even if it's somebody, family, friends, whoever. I never put that on my child. I never discuss my issues with anybody that I have with my child because I always want my child to form a relationship with whoever. And if they don't work out, I want her to experience whatever it is. I never want to put my experience because now she's going to prejudge whoever I had an issue with. And
Right, right.
stop doing, not even with kids, but even with adults. Sometimes people will have friends and family and they'll talk to one of their friends or other family members and they'll have a problem with somebody and that person don't have that problem with that person. That's you that got that problem with that person.
Exactly. It's
You'll go to
personal.
that person and be like, oh, well, such and she this and she that, or he this and he that. And then you're doing all of this to this person that don't even hardly know this person. And that's the problem that y'all had, not the problem that, so you put
They
that,
had.
now you giving that person, trying to make that person prejudge this person all off of what you saying about the person. If
Oh,
you,
that's
I was
good.
always taught as a kid, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, then just don't say anything. So that's one thing I want to say when it comes to closing out that segment. But I'm gonna say this last question, and that is: would you rather stay in a situation that is comfortable but keeps you stuck, or take a risk on something uncertain that could change your life forever? So, what I'm going to leave y'all with this: don't let familiarity keep you trapped. The life you want may require different environments, different habits, different people, different decisions. Growth isn't comfortable. Transformation isn't comfortable, but neither is living with regret. Remember, just because something is familiar doesn't mean it's where you're supposed to stay. So the next chapter,
Oh,
you. So stop letting fear write your story. And we're going to end it there. So I wish y'all all a good night. And we will see y'all again on Let's Talk It Out with D&D next Thursday. And if y'all see the QR code, go ahead and scan it. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and share this live if you got some interest on this. And also check out the other lives that we had. And I say good night to all of y'all and see y'all next Thursday.
yes.